Dear Dhamma friends, today also now we arrived at the time for the today's Dhamma talk. To start the Dhamma talk, you may concentrate 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse Katamacha bhikkhave vedana chaime bhikkhame vedana kaya ayang uchchati bhikkhave vedana passa samudayo vedana samudayo passa nirodho vedana nirodho ayameva ariyo attangiko maggo vedana nirodha gamini patipadati ti. Dear Dhamma friends, in this particular discourse, yesterday we touched the subject of feelings, and that is been depicted as the second aggregates that someone tend to cling into. So the Buddha taking the very aggregate of feelings as a subject matter, whereby if someone can really understand it, it's in the 4 phases, or all its entirety, that itself can be a way of liberation. So therefore, taken a subject of feeling to give a full thorough analysis, and that analytical understanding one has to do in 4 phases. That is why this Sutta is known as 4 phases of subjects which someone to cling, and one has to understand all these 5 aggregates in terms of 4 phases. So we so far managed to analyze and understand as much as possible regarding the materiality. Now we are reaching the subject of the feeling that come under the non-materiality sphere. And yesterday basically we tried to understand the 6 senses, and according to the, related to the 6 senses, different kinds of pleasurable feelings, painful feelings are happening for the commoner. And whenever someone is instructed, he will not be just happy or will be contented only with the painful and the pleasurable. He or she will rather go into understand no pain, no pleasure kind of a feeling, that is adding a kind of a radical option, radical way out. And ultimately, when the meditation come up to the maturity, one may understand our feeling world is not completed, cannot be completed, cannot explain only by pain and pleasure, unless otherwise we introduce this no pain, no pleasure. And more you meditate, it is ironically, you will understand most of our time is filled with no pain, no pleasure, but we fail to understand it due to the underlying tendency of ignorance. And whenever this no pain, no pleasure going to come, we reject it, considering it is very boring, it is very monotonous, it is feel lonely and fearful. So therefore, we have the habitual game of pursuit of pleasure principle. So therefore, whenever we are engaged with the pain and the pleasure, we have kind of a familiarity. But whenever the no pain, no pleasure going to happen, we feel somewhat alienated, somewhat lonely. So therefore, we never appreciate it. By in the meditation, someone has to accept at the beginning, maybe at the theoretical level, and later slowly, in inferential and deductive way also, one has to accept. And then whenever someone is ready to be with this no pain, no pleasure, that will open the gateway to the real emancipation. Similarity in the materiality is, the materiality also the all the scientists so far was engaged thoroughly in understanding this earth element, the water element, heat element and the air element. And whenever they are towards the completion of understanding to these four elements, that's the solid, air, liquid and the thermal physics, more and more you go to the end, they understand the universe is cannot be explained through that materiality. More and more they analyze, they come to know there's a huge space in between. Whenever the materiality becomes thoroughly understood, they are being pushed into, forced into understand this space. So space explains, as I mentioned, sometimes 96% of the whole universe. So far we were so engaged and bogged down in this materiality. By completion, completion pushed all the scientists as everyone to understand the space. Exactly the way whenever someone is trying to understand in a genuine way, in the sense to see things as they are, they will start with the pain and the pleasure. More and more you understand, ultimately you have to come to a conclusion. Without no pain, no pleasure, without the neutral feeling, you can't complete the picture. Not only that, the no pain, no pleasure explain the majority of the feelings. And so far, we were ignorant it, and we were talking about highly on the pleasure seeking, pleasure pursuits, and we think we know our way of asserting or acquiring the pleasure or gratification of pleasure, and we claim we know it. That's a kind of ignorance. And second thing is, we do not know, majority of our time is only explained through this no pain, no pleasure. So therefore our ignorance is simple unknowing is there, and the perception is there. Therefore, even benevolent Samaritan come and tell someone, they are not happy to accept it because they are so arrogant, telling that we know our way of pursuit of pleasure and sensuous gratification, so don't come and teach me like that. But instead, if you take time and go into the present moment, or vigilance and diligence, and try to analyze and see, you have to accept no pain, no pleasure is the majority. So whenever the feeling as such, you have to understand, it is in sixfold manner from the I, there up, the desirable and undesirable, and the neutral feeling. Regarding the ear, regarding the nose, regarding the tongue, regarding the tactile sensation and the mental objects, these three are there. So now, supposing that we have a fair understanding, at least at the theoretical level, then the Buddha is asking, once you take this, make this tapestry of feelings, you have to understand the very beginning of the feeling. So, for that, one has to engage here and now with the diligence, with the vigilance, when and where are the any kind of feelings going to happen. So, in that sense, today I thought of going little deep into analyzing according to the discourses given in this Sutta Pitaka, how this arising of feelings, how this arising of Vedana. So there's one particular very interesting sutta known as Malunkya Putta Sutta, and it's a fairly long one, but I would like to take the first episode where that a person known as, elderly person known as Malunkya Putta come and consult the Buddha, and he says, I have fair enough of urgency, so I thought of renunciating my whole life for meditation. So, Venerable Sir, please give me a meditation instruction or a kammatthana, that means specific instruction suitable for me. So at the beginning, the Buddha is little critical. He says, so far I have mentioned all what I feel suitable for the people, but each and everyone used to come and asking me special favors, and this is not ending. You are also coming and asking me the particular instructions, like Buddha at the beginning, give kind of a critical outlook, but later take him for a dialogue and a discussion. Then he says, so then I will raise some question and answer you as you will. And he says, there are some visible forms or visual objects, we'll say, visual object that you have never seen. And for the moment also it is not to be seen. And you are not looking at also, and it is not to be look in future also. And with that kind of a visual object, will there be any desire or attachment or any kind of engagement? So Mahalokapita verily says, Bhante, with such objects, there is no attachment going to happen. There is no kind of engagement going to happen, no desire arises, which has not seen, now also not to be seen, and you are not looking at that also, and in future also you are not going to look at it. And in the same question the Buddha is asking, there is a sound you have not heard, and now also not to be heard, and you are not hearing also, and you are not going to hear in future also. And with that kind of a sound, will there be any kind of a feeling as to be get desired or get attached to it? No. And then the smell, and then the taste, and then the tactile sensation and the mental objects. So that Mahalokaputta was so elated to hear, he says, the desire arises or the cause for suffering arises, not the past, not the future, it is here and now. Whatever may be you are observing, whatever may be you are hearing, whatever you are smelling, touching, tasting or thinking. That means the arising of the suffering with respect to this sensuous impingement is here and now. Whatever it is not possible to see, hear, kind of thing, never going to give suffering. So this was a kind of a opening that the suffering arises from then and there objects. Whenever the eye going to get avenued within the range with a visual object, that is the very thing going to give suffering. And whatever the sounds going to get avenued into your eardrum is the only one going to create suffering. And the smell, the taste, everything is there. Therefore, if you are to get rid of suffering, you have to meditate only on what is the object under your very nose. You must not worry about the past, you must not worry about the future. Even the present, whatever may be within your range is the cause of suffering. That is the only thing you have to focus upon, you must meditate upon. So that means that as far as the past is concerned and the future is concerned, I would categorically say, as far as the past visual objects are concerned, we are already enlightened. Future going to happen thing also, we are already enlightened. What to be seen also, we are already enlightened. What you have to thoroughly understand is what is in present moment, in face-to-face with you. So if you can manage it, you are already enlightened. So this reduces the subject matter into something practicable, something one can think about. Otherwise, you can't imagine the amount of visual objects, the amount of sounds, the smell, the taste, the touch and the mental object that you have to think about. Now you have to meditate upon, or be vigilant upon. The Buddha says, Mahalokaputta is, verily understand, whenever the visual object going to be come in contact with, that is the only very thing creating suffering, if you can be thorough on that moment, on that particular visual objects, you are the Buddha. Or you are enlightened. Next moment we'll say, sound going to happen, not a visual object, through the ear. And if verily knows that my past moment I was a seer, now I am a listener, and the sound is the one now, for the moment is face-to-face with, avenue with, come to the range with the eardrum, and if I am thoroughly on that very moment, that is also sorted out. So this was the early episode of the Mahalunkyaputta Sutta, and then the Mahalunkyaputta, he, after understanding, he was so elated, then he says, Bhante, if I correctly understand what you say, this is what I have to say, Rūpaṁ disvā satimutta piyanimittam manasikaroti. Visual object come into contact with, face-to-face with, but no mindfulness. If someone is unmindfully, or without diligence, he is negligent, and he is not vigilant, but visual object come to face-to-face with. And whenever such a thing happens, he is making a sign, or kind of a object, kind of a visual object is going to say, what I have seen good, what I have seen bad, what I have seen is auspicious or unauspicious, whatever may be. Whenever someone is to see an object without mindfulness, he is always going to have an image about what he or she is going to see. Piyanimittam manasikaroti, that usually, whenever possible, a person going to see good things, desirable things, what is appealing, so therefore they are willing to have a good image, or are going to have a good sign about what they are about to see, and therefore this explanation is going with the positive side, desirable side. That does not mean that people are not looking at or seeing the bad objects, but the intention is always to see good things, that due to the pleasure principle, pursuit of pleasure. So therefore, whenever someone is to see without mindfulness, piyanimittam manasikaroti, a sign appear in the auspicious way. Saratta chitto vedeti, and then he experience it or feel it with the desire, with the attachment, vedeti tancha ajjosa tittati. And he engage into that, who enter into that. I am a lucky person, luckily I have a good eyes, and I see something good, so I am the person who see that auspicious thing, the good thing, a desirable thing, so penetrate into that with that kind of desirability. Tassa vaddati vedana. Therefore, he is thinking more and more, proliferating or increasing that particular sensation, the desirable sensation, or he keep on fabricating how to have this thought moment extended. That means he is proliferating that particular Vedana, Aneka Rupa Sambhava, and he is going to give so much of mental proliferation, different facets, how to maximize that particular desirable thought, or desirable in the sense, in this case, desirable feeling, abhijjata vihesacha. And then when it is going to reduce, if the vision is going to go away from your vision, you become very sorry. And if it is coming closer and closer, you become very elated. Likewise, that desire and desirability and undesirability, and the liking and disliking, you will get hooked up into the liking and disliking, and you will be moved like a puppet, driven by the threads. These things are usually abhijjata vihesacha, chittamasu bhanyati. Therefore, whenever the desirability, undesirability comes, the anxiety going to happen, the depression going to happen, how to maximize it and not allowing it to be reduced, like that you will be completely like a puppet, will be driven by these threads. Basically the hatred and the desire. Whenever something going to bad towards your good vision, you develop hatred. Whenever something going to promote it, you are bound to develop desirability and your lucky nature, and you become more and more agitated, and we become more and more anxiety going to develop. Evam achinato dukkam, that is what the unsatisfactory means. That is how you become shaken. That is how your pool becomes wavy and with a lot of shakes. And Adha Ara Nibbana Uchati is far and far away from the real truth. He is now completely becoming a seer, and according to his own visual object and his own sign he has taken, he will move here and there. Instead, he loses the chance to see things as they are. He see what is his projection or his own sign, and accordingly only that desirability, undesirability, the hatred, desire rises. So that is the possible thing whenever the mindfulness is not there. So this is how the Palunke Putta, the disciple himself is putting what he understood. And then he says, now after the advice of the Buddha, if he happen to meet the visual object with mindfulness, it is a complete different situation. Naso rajyati rupesu rupandisva patisato. He knows if he is going to give kind of signs and understand according to your early perception, he is bound to get hooked up with the desire and undesire. Therefore, he try to be mindful. That means he going to know now my, out of the 6 faculties, now I am engaged in seeing. Not with hearing, not with smelling, not with tasting, not with touching and not with thinking. So at least come to know now I am a seer, observer. So therefore, if someone wish to go deep into the understanding of these feelings, he or she has to be mindful in the day-to-day activities or in walking meditation rather than in the sitting meditation, because most of your faculties are fairly closed. But in the walking and day-to-day activities, all the faculties are open. So therefore, you have to track your stream of consciousness, whether it is hooked up with seeing or hearing or smelling or tasting or touching or thinking. That itself is a task. Otherwise, simply you have to raise your hands and say, there is no agenda in the mind. Therefore, mind is, Buddha has recognized as a monkey mind, jumping from one branch to the other branch without any premeditated ideas. So whatever the discipline we have, there we have to surrender. With the mind going to take a visual object with the eye, or sound with the ear, or smell with the nose, or taste with the tongue, or touch with the bodily contact, tactile sensitivity, and the mind is completely open issue. Early morning we have all our working list, we have a plan, and when you come back after the working and before going into the bed, if you are going to consider how much you have achieved, how much not, you will see nothing you have achieved. Whatever you achieved is somewhere related to what you have thought. What has happened is completely new thing. So therefore, each day when you go to the bed, and if you are have a habit of reconsideration or recollection of what has happened during the day, you will be happy to have another day tomorrow morning rather than what happened today. That is because no agenda, simply no agenda. So no one is happy to, at least to realize it. So therefore, whenever you are going to be mindful, And if you are going to track down what is the particular sense organ which is avenued with the particular sensual impingement, you will understand how swiftly, how in a irresponsive way, how without agenda is jumping from to the other. So this is the human mind. So, but what happens is, whenever you are trying to impose or employ the mindfulness, you are going to get more and more discouraged, because more and more the mindfulness going to work, more and more you understand situation is not governable. Situation is not under control. So therefore, whenever you are going to be mindful in the day-to-day activities, some person has mentioned there are 4 characteristics will appear in you rather than with unmindfulness. You will be very irritating kind of a person. Whenever you are not employing mindfulness, you know how to counterbalance. You are blackguarding other person and praising other person, and somehow the other you balance. But whenever you are going to be mindful and to see this no agenda situation, irritability will increase. And the other thing is the self-criticism. You are bound to develop kind of a self-criticism whenever the mindfulness is catching. And the other thing is fault-finding with others. You think, I can't be mindful because other people are not helpful. Others are disturbing me. So all the others has to meditate. I know many people, they had a very nice family life. Either husband or wife going to go to the meditation centers. After they come back, they expect whole family to be behave like in a monastery or in a hermitage. So when they come back home, they find people are quite hectic. They are not supportive for them. So there are a lot of misunderstanding and fault finding in the family affairs. And the other thing is you become pedantic. You want everything to happen according to the last letter. So these things are kind of allergic situations. You have to take antihistaminic medicine sometimes, because more and more the meditation going to happen, this kind of agitation going to happen. Because more and more you are to observe, whenever you are seeing, you are noting as seeing. Whenever you are going to hear something, you are noting as hearing. Whenever you are going to smell something, you are noting as smelling. Or whenever you are going to taste, you are going to note it as tasting. Whenever something tactile thing happens, if you are going to note touching. Or whenever you are going to think, you are thinking as daydreaming, fantasizing, or thinking. That's a huge amount of controlling of your organs going to happen. Because they can't completely go and engage in desirability or undesirability. More and more you to note them, the mind become more mindful. So therefore you will be less and less carried away by the visual objects or sounds or taste. So when that happens, there's a huge amount of pent-up energies and emotions going to happen. Whenever there is no such a endeavorance like mindfulness, you know your character trait and your personality knows how to balance with everything, and you become sometimes immoral, sometimes become loose-tempered, sometimes maybe many ways you have. But it is automatically, it happens whenever you are trying to note at least your agendaless, the timetable, you will come to know how indisciplined it is, how ungovernable it is. So if you are going to be more and more restraining, more and more mindful, more and more restrainment naturally going to happen to your senses, and therefore kind of a pent-up energy going to happen. So how it is manifest is, you become irritable, you become fault-finding, self-critical and pedantic. So when such a thing happens, the normal world, external world going to say, now you are lunatic. You are sending mad. Because earlier you was a normal human being with the senses. But when the mindfulness going to set in, so you become something different. So unless otherwise you are going to have a good association with the people with advanced mindfulness, no one will sympathize you. They can't, because their way of life and their rationality, thinking is completely different. So therefore, whenever the mind, whenever the meditation go little deep, I would say rather beyond the form, beyond the materiality, beyond the body, corporeality, it is touching this feeling sphere. When that happens, the mindfulness is going to very deep layers, and they are naturally the restrainment of your faculties also come into being. So therefore it is, we can put it in this way, till the mindfulness or insight meditation or diligence going to go beyond the forms or materiality or corporeality, you will appreciate sitting meditation. You are not opening your eyes, going to a silent place, and don't entertain the smell and touch, and you try to be with your body without any intention, and or rather replace it with the in-breath and out-breath, and you master without letting other sensuous impingements to come in. You are making a laboratory experimental situation, control situation, and there one day you will come up to a certain maturity towards the docile or controlling or managing your breath up to the very subtle levels, and there you can go beyond this materiality, and then only the mindfulness is becoming ready and qualifying to go into senses. Under such circumstances, if you go out from sitting to walking meditation, there you can understand, and just like in sitting, you are trying to keep the attention with the right leg, left leg, the touch sensation, the roughness, smoothness, heat, cold, all the kind of thing. But while you are doing, not only you are confining your sensations or feelings to the corporeality, the visual objects going to happen, and sounds going to happen, and other more than the soul, other senses, the touch sensation going to happen. Then when that is, challenges are going to be high, you have to understand, you have to keep them open, but it must be restrained. You must not look at the object directly in front of you, or you must not look at your feet. You must look at somewhere 1 or 2 meters ahead of you. So eyes are open but restrained. And you have to go to a place for the walking meditation where there is no much of sounds. You go a silent place. And even the body is doing with volitional activities, it must be restrained to within the walking path, and there only you can keep your mindfulness with more opening to some senses. And when you go to the day-to-day activities, you are still opening them, and they are the restrainment or restraining of faculties will decide how much the consistency of your mindfulness. Diligence. Therefore it says, if you wish to be mindful in your day-to-day activities, do things little slowly. So it itself become a reminder for you to be mindful. And listening to your own sounds. That means you become introvert. Otherwise, whatever the mindfulness you earn in the sitting meditation will be completely scattered. And you will be self-critical, thinking that whatever the meditation I am going to get, concentration, the mindfulness, the diligence or insight, I can't keep up with the day-to-day activities. There you are forced to. You are being demanded to restrain yourself within that network only. You can slowly diversify or multiply your mindfulness. They are the sensations or the aggregates of senses going to come into being. So that is why it says, if as far as you are in a retreat atmosphere, you can have a certain amount of control there, and not only in sitting, you can expand your mindfulness into the walking and sometimes day-to-day activities also. But when you go home, the situation is completely beyond your control. Again, that monkey mind will come into being and you are the loser. But that does not indicate it's a permanent damage. This is the way you have to expand it slowly, and there, if you wish to be mindful in your day-to-day activities also, you have to at least to understand the value or the importance of tracking the particular sense organ active for the moment. Whether you are a seer or hearer or person smelling or touching or tasting or thinking. So the Buddha says, if you are really serious into to develop the mindfulness, even into your day-to-day activities, whenever the seeing happens, even you are an eyed person, behave like a blind. You only see, but never going to interpret it, never going to proliferate upon that. You see and behave like a blind. I think that is a very practical way of expressing. For example, your eye must be just like a camera. It is catching the image, but not going to interpret it, not going to entertain it, not going to proliferate upon that. And that is the, what you call the restrainment of your faculty. So there's a huge connection between this Vedana-anupassana or contemplation on the feeling together with the restrainment of faculties. So Western world is failing to understand this part, the restrainment of faculties. They consider as putting oneself into open prison camp like. They think it is self-mortification. So therefore, as far as this restrainment of faculties or moral integrity or moral restrainment is come into contact with or come into the behavioral medicine, you can't expect a deepening of your mindfulness from form to the Kaya-anupassana to the Vedana-anupassana. So whenever someone is mastering it, if someone is something happening in someone going to the deeper layer, he naturally will come to know his restrainment of faculties was parallelly improving. Sometimes it appears quite strange for oneself. For example, when you are be very mindful and noting very one-to-one, and then when you are eating, if you are really mindful, you feel you can't eat more than what is necessary. When the stomach is enough, the signal going to come. But instead, if you are unmindful and if you are voraciously feeding yourself, you don't know the limit. And it go beyond that, and then ultimately you may be taking unwanted ingredients or too much of ingredients. So it is very well experienced specifically in the Maha meditation centers. Many elderly people come for meditation. And when they come and they are residing there maybe 7 days, 10 days or 14 days, and the early few days they try their best to keep the meditation in sitting meditation. Ultimately, slowly when the meditation is going beyond this form, materiality, going to go for the sensations, their restrainment is going hand to hand with the development of the mindfulness, and often they refuse to eat. They feel they can't eat. No appetite. Because they have enough urgency after seeing the samsara, or this birth of the cycle of birth and death. They are so moved, one thing. And the second thing is meditation also catching. And when the sensations are going to be more and more under the view, more and more under the amplification, they don't feel like sleepy, they don't feel like eating, and they are come and saying that I don't feel like eating. So Mahasi Sayadaw, he used to say, you must eat your portion. Otherwise your bodily energy will go down, so you can't maintain the meditation. So it is a sign at that level, you don't feel like eating, you don't feel like sleepy, you don't feel like entertaining all the facilities, not the facilities, the sensuous desires, and it is going hand in hand with this sensation. Some people has to employ it or practice it, some it is happening. So therefore, this is the age, this is not the age stage, you are going to really feel the transition. And when that happens, as I try to share with you all in the discussion also, you are given the good and the better. So under such circumstances, if you are not tightening your belts, if you are not restraining yourself, if you are not going to give a moral values to your meditation, it is definitely the mindfulness going to get hampered. It's going to haphazard. The development, the steady development is really challenged. And therefore, more you going to develop the wisdom or knowledge through the mindfulness, it reflect back and come and say, you have to be morally integrated, morally responsible in order to maintain this momentum. So in Sanskrit it says, Vidya dadati vinayam. Whenever the wisdom going to happen, it produce, it parturate the kind of self-restrainment. So this is, I think, the most challenging thing for the present-day meditators, because they have to have a huge amount of multitasking and relationship with other people, and they can't find the balance, the proper synchronization, how much I should restrain, because self-restrainment is appear like antisocial. You are going backward in the society. So therefore you are a huge challenge, unless otherwise you have a real clear objectives in your life or backbone in your spirituality, you can't take it up. But it does not indicate it is improbable. It is possible, but that is what it says. More and more you are advancing, it is demanding more and more different restrainments and faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration and the wisdom. So therefore, whenever the meditation go up to that level, it says it is going to the fourth kind of purification, the discernment between the path and the non-path. Generally now you are good. No question. Because whenever you come and sit, definitely you can have a good sitting. But whenever you get up and go for walking meditation, whenever you get up and go for day-to-day activities, you find that mind is so hectic. Mind is so adamant and arrogant. So much of fighting and head-to-head fighting. So there you have to be, you have to understand, it is not the mistake of the world. World is the world. You have to restrain yourself, so much so, even if you have eyes, if you wish to maintain the mindfulness in the super grade, you have to behave like a blind. Even if you are going to hear so much of things, take everything in, but as far as the response is concerned, behave like a deaf. Even if you have so much of smells, tastes, and other tactile comfort and the sensations, you must behave like a person with paralysis. These parts are not working like. Even if you have the bright knowledge and understanding of what is happening in the present day economy, present day political science and present day the social works, they are utter childish. You very knows, you are very well, you can understand by neutral observation, that you have behaved like a idiot. So it appears like going against the social laws, going against the forward front line in the society life. But the Buddha says, this is the only possible way for an individual to get escape. So this you can't find in the books. That you have to develop your own common sense according to your upbringing, according to your circumstances, what is the most precautional way in order to develop the mindfulness from Kayanupassana to Vedananupassana, from form to the sensation. So if you have another working group, and it's a real soul age, you can go and discuss, and they will be really sharing with you. Otherwise, if you are going to discuss with the commoners, they will send you mad. They will definitely tell, just behave like us, we are very natural, you are mad. Definitely you will put into the asylum, telling something wrong. So when in my case, as an individual, so I thought at that level, maybe it is not common for me to discuss this with you all. I thought renunciation is the best way. And my brothers, he directly accused, I am something abnormal in my psychology. So I must go to a psychiatrist. So tomorrow I am going to leave the household. My two brothers came, and one vehemently told, I observed for a long time, you have some kind of a mental upset. And therefore, I recommend you to go to a psychiatrist. Then I told, okay, you are the big brother. I am not going to pay for the psychiatrist. I am not going to pay for the transport. I am not going to challenge you. But I am asking only one thing. I will go, but you and me have to accept what the psychiatrist says. They are onward, not talk. His decision is the last decision, then I am ready to go. Then he told, no, I am telling you, how can you do this kind of this in this world? This is ideologist. I know these things, so therefore you are too young to consider. So you are in an utter ideology, how can you implement in this world? Then I told, your opinions, ideas not necessary, we'll go to a psychiatrist. No, I am telling, I am just suggested, we are not going to take you to the psychiatrist, but I am telling you, why don't you reconsider? No, I told, I reconsidered enough, that is what I am going to say. Then they were finding some more the other ways to see something wrong with myself. I don't know still whether I am something wrong with myself, but I am telling, this is the way the world is working. So if you are to go into this Vedananupassana, specifically on the feelings, it is more serious engagement, or demanding not only the wisdom, is demanding huge amount of moral integrity, kind of a faith. It is not a normal superficial faith, the resolute kind of faith, and kind of a mindfulness. It is persistent mindfulness, or in consistency in mindfulness, and a kind of a concentration, not only in sitting, even in the walking meditation, even in the day-to-day activities. Kind of a wisdom is completely away from this worldly wisdom. You will understand worldly wisdom is negative. It is pulling and pushing you more towards the sensuous pleasure. It is asking you to be the self-centered. More and more you become self-centered, people will be very happy. And or otherwise, going for self-nihilistic kind of kama-tanna, bhava-tanna, vibhava-tanna, then the world is okay. But whenever you are going to see them as it is just due to the hedonic the consideration, we have this sensuous pleasure, Definitely it is going to burn the candle from both the ends. Instead, if you are going to have a moderate life, the people will say, you are something wrong. And the people will ask you to be egocentric and ego instinct, and therefore you must write a book and you must have a child. That is the norm there. So if you are going to say that I am not interested in writing books and making children, it's completely mad. You have no rights to in this society, unless otherwise you becoming a member. So therefore, whenever you are going to do them, they will come and give the praise, gain and happiness and everything, but otherwise consider you as a black sheep. So in order to have this, at least you must have some role models. At least you must have a fairly reinforced mindfulness and kind of thing. Otherwise that people come and tell, this is the social norm, you have no right to go against it. And go to the bhavatanna, vibhavatanna, all the kind of thing. So therefore whenever the mindfulness or vipassana knowledges going beyond this, understanding the path and non-path, I would say your whole set of liking and disliking has to be reconsidered. Your whole personality will be reshuffled. Not for permanently, but you have to at least accept it in the philosophical level. Unless otherwise you are going to sacrifice your whole liking and disliking and to sacrifice your personality traits, very difficult to go beyond that. Very difficult to go into this Vedananupassana understanding. So in the commentators commentarial way, it says that there's a big hurdle. For example, whenever you are going to see the in-breath and out-breath and keep the object of meditation face to face it, you are supposing or you are being asked to see as much as the beginning of the in-breath and out-breath. More and more you to see the in-breath, the subtle start, you are bound to get a chance to see the ending of the in-breath also. So you are going to more and more subtle areas, when ultimately you learn how to see beginning through the middle to the end of the in-breath, how to see the beginning through the middle to the end of the out-breath. Now you are for the first time going to see a phenomena, whatever it may be, in-breath, out-breath or whatever may be. There are three modes, the beginning, the middle and the end. So when that happens, your engagement with the object becomes very steadfast. Even if you are going to put some hatred or desire into your mind, it will push it off and mind will be thoroughly engaged with the object of meditation. So when that happens, you don't feel like even winking your eyes or get up for your sitting meditation. Huge amount of magnetism going to develop towards this mindfulness, the concentration and the wisdom. The energy flow also undisturbed. You develop so much of faith upon your investment on the meditation. So when that happens, the special kind of renunciated kind of pleasure going to start. So in the Anapanasati Sutta itself, it is very exemplified way explained. Whenever the Passambayang Kaya Sankarang Asasisamiti Sikkati, Passambayang Kaya Sankarang Pasasisamiti Sikkati, that means the calming down your breath body, you discipline your in-breath, the calming down the breath body, you discipline the out-breath. That is the final episode in the materiality. More and more you calm down, then the Piti Parisangvedi Asasisamiti Sikkati, Piti Parisangvedi Pasasisamiti Sikkati. Whenever for example, when you are learning how to ride a push bike, and first time you understand the balance, you develop such a feeling, you develop as if you have conquered the whole world. Now you can ride the bicycle. You can speed up, you can slow down, you can bend it and all the kind of thing. Exactly the way you're going to get the helm of your meditation into your hand. Therefore, the piti, the rapture or the gladness going to arise. So whenever that kind of gladness going to happen, so far your sitting was very painful, excruciating, and the sitting was very difficult, but now instead there is a kind of the gladness going to happen. So that is the kind of feeling that is called renunciated kind, or that is called immaterial kind. When that is going to happen, unless otherwise you know the path and the non-path, you are bound to claim that gladness as me, gladness as mine, gladness as myself. Because you feel like that you earned it at the cost of all the difficulties, getting rid of all the 5 hindrances and persistency and steadfastness of the mindfulness. Then due to these factors, the gladness going to happen. Whenever that going to happen, definitely you are embracing it. Not only that, get bogged down there, claiming, thinking, this is me, this is mine, this is myself. So likewise, 10 qualities already highly demanded and appreciable, all things going to happen like a dam broken off, engulfing, coming up. So they are called Obhasa, Piti, Passaddhi, Jnana. Obhasa means the full of light, which is glut. You feel like that everything is, you are inside the light. The full mind becomes fully radiating. And then the piti, the gladness is pervading. It says that there are 5 kinds of gladnesses, or piti, kuddhika piti, khanika piti, ubbega piti, parana piti, or khantika piti. So at the beginning you feel like here and there goose pimples like, some parts are going to dance, that muscle dance, and there you feel little currents are going. And all of a sudden later you feel like a shock, whole body going to get some shakings. And at that time you sometimes entertain doubts as to what is happening. But if you go there and see your mind, body, the mindfulness is with the body, or at least with the body, or with sometimes even with the in-breath and out-breath, but there are some kind of shakes and jerks are going to happen. So when you are mastering it, you are going to feel waves of the gladness starting from bottom to going up, or sometimes from up to the going down. Some waves are going to happen. So there only you come to know this is due to the alignment and the synchronization of the mind and the body, the kind of gladness. After these 3, it says the tender kind of happiness, and ultimately you feel like as if you go to the seashore, the continuous currents of waves of happiness going to brush you throughout, is sweeping through your body. Ultimately it becomes pervading kind of, when you are boiling a pot of milk, after it's completely overwhelming, and you unbearable kind of feelings going to happen. So it is natural for someone to consider this as me, mine, and the self. But the Thero, the tradition in that sense, have mapped everything, which says, for the first time when it happens, unbelievably, you will claim them, but understand this is not the path. This is developing kind of a sense gratification or self instinct. So first and foremost you must understand is to disclaim it. This is not me, this is not mine, this is not myself. So otherwise, if you are going to entertain it, what happens is, you will miss the contact with the primary object, and then and there the mindfulness will stop, and after this, the rapture also going to stop, and your mind will be scattered off. And likewise, the Passaddhi is a kind of a serenity, and it's everything come into the very harmony. So therefore, things are rather happening rather than doing, and you are going to get the main advantage of this balance. And they are also, you will compare with the other people when they are sitting, they are moving here and there and scratching and coughing and all that. I am really doing meditation like you are the kind of claim going to happen even with Passaddhi. And Adhimokha is a kind of a resolution. It is not the normal faith. This is the verifiable kind of faith. At the beginning you had a kind of a superficial faith on the Buddha or Dhamma or your fellow meditators or the precepts. But now you understand with your own understanding, these things have their own empirical value, testifiability, verifiability. So the Buddha is not just telling something for us to believe, he is asking to do so yourself and practice. The Dhamma is not going to give kind of a commandment or anything it says the map. So if you are following, the results are there. And the people, those who are following also, know any other mean agenda, they have their own idea of liberation, that is why they are so adhered to. And why you are becoming more morally integrated is with immorality, you can't go there. So therefore, kind of a resolution going to happen, and that very resolution, you going to claim it as your qualities. But instead, you have to be very humble, you have to be very disclaiming, even though the resolute faith going to happen, and it's very leading. It is not beating on the bush. Now it is definitely you can shoot into the target, and even that happens, you have to disclaim it. Otherwise, you will miss the bus. You will go to the wrong path. So, Adhimokha is a very good the quality, but when it is going to happen, you must have your precaution not to get engaged with that and to keep it there and to keep the contact with the primary object. Keep the mindfulness intact. Keep the diligence intact. Otherwise, you are taken to inclination to that. And Paggaha means the kind of energy. It is that like a running car is always charging the battery. So battery is full all the time. Likewise, when the meditation come to up that level, you need not any kind of other Dhamma talks or discussions or walking meditation, nothing necessary, you can sit. So much of the energy going to recuperate. So it also appears like something special feature in you, but you don't understand it's a temporary thing. At this stage, definitely it's bound to come, and when it is going to lose, you are the loser, unless otherwise you know how the art of disclaiming. And Sukha is the really imbibing, the understanding. That is what the people say, that that time each and every breath become beautiful. You feel the breath itself is going to give the whole essence, the sap for your spiritual development, physical health, mental health. So far you are not concerned about the breath. It is something happening while you are running up and down. But now you have completely given up, taking the breath as your primary source of energy, spirituality, and each and every breath, santocheva panitocha sukocha asechanakocha sukocha viharocha. It appears very beautiful, serene, and pleasure-giving, and need not anything extra. That is what it says, it is becoming inalienable, unalloyed. You need not to add anything, by itself is complete. So much so the breath become happy, ultimately you will be with the happiness foregoing the breath. If that is the case, that is called taking the wrong path. Instead you have to remember, this is a stage where this kind of sukha, the pleasure going to happen. Therefore, the Dhammapada it says, sunyagaram pavistatsa santachittatsa bhikkhuno amanuse rati hoti passantu udyabhyam. Whenever you are going to see the incessant rising and passing away of the phenomena, the particular person go to a silent place and do meditation, he is going to experience a kind of pleasure which is exceeding the human pleasure. You can't experience such a thing with the materialistic. So much so the attraction can happen. So you have to understand this is because of the cause and effect relationship. Don't claim it as my pleasure, or I must try to give it to my dear and near ones, and I must write books, I must start giving lectures, and all the kind of thing becomes side tracks. And present day, many meditation masters, they are not jokers. They are really have done, but the only thing is half mature. It's a half knowledge is very dangerous. So the Buddha says, those who are taking that and going to start the teaching is kind of utter wastage. Ultimately that particular person also loses its own maturity, and the other people also is leading to these halfway qualities rather than going into the full maturity. So therefore this become a trap. Even though he has passed 3 purifications, its 4th purification, that is understand the path and non-path, is it's really a tricky one. So therefore whenever the sukha is going to happen, one has to understand this is a temporary situation under that circumstances, or otherwise they will overestimate thinking that I have achieved the first Magga Jnana, or I have achieved the final one, because no one is challenging. You are in your mental world, and all the qualities are there. And on top of that, the jnana, the vipassana, the clarity of the cause and effect relationship is going to be so clear. Whatever the thing you are going to apply, not only the in-breath and out-breath, not only the day-to-day activities, even if you see something, if someone to hear, if you someone to see, everything is seen through. You can understand why the people are coming up to that kind of quick decisions, hectic decision ultimately suffer. Because they can't understand the reality as such, so therefore they go by the superficial value, ultimately end up with this wrong decision. So therefore he is going to understand there is a depth in everything, and that moment he is going to say he is like omniscient. Everything appears very clear. So that is also, he has to keep it in the proper place. The Upadana also is as a determination power. So he will decide, in this very sitting, I will meditate up to go up to the Sotapanna or Arahant or whatever may be the status. He will never give up so much of the determination power, the mind power going to happen due to this alignment. And then kind of upekka means kind of a equilibrium also going to happen. He appear very mature. But even then, he has the personal likings and disliking or gratification to this maturity. His own spiritual maturity. Therefore, the last one is known as the Nikanti. Nikanti is this magnetizing power. All the 9 qualities explained up to now have spiritually good qualities, but the bad thing is you have that attachment to it. So if the attachment is not there, of course they are good. So therefore you have to underestimate them, disclaim them. So more and more you are going to do this, you will come to know whenever the difficulties happen, many people give up the meditation. Whenever the positive things happen, people become bewildered. So if they do not know how to balance with these two, it's very difficult. So therefore the commentator it says, this kind of junction only happen to successful meditators, those who have not completed the first jnana. Those who are lazy bones never come up to this level. They are very secured on this level, because they are not coming up to. Only the stern and the made-up mind kind of a yogis can go there, but even the danger of the trap is not to be underestimated. And lucky enough, in the Theravada books, they have really emphasizing when the meditation is going up to that level, be humble as much as possible, question it as much as possible, underestimate as much as possible. Anyone going to claim this kind of thing, you have to suspect. Because they are not really under the teacher's guidance. They do not know the danger of it, therefore they are bragging around and they are talking and going to escape others. Ultimately they themselves bog down in the same boggy area. So therefore this sensation, specifically the pleasure and the pain, it's really opening the door towards the mental world and the personality, and how the people are so taken or carried away by the likings and disliking, how they become vehemently fighting them and go up to the martyrdom and killing each other, wars and love affairs, everything happen because they have very little understanding on this pain and the pleasure, the pleasure principle. So even the Sigmund Freud, he tried to explain the whole human behavior through the pleasure principle. Everyone is trying to maximize the pleasure principle. That is why they have the power hunger. That's why they are going to do any bad thing, any immoral thing in order to maximize the pleasure. But if someone is going to see its superficial nature, how thin this pain and pleasure is, you will develop kind of sympathy, you will develop kind of the compassion, not only to yourself, all human beings. Not only the human beings, all beings. Because each and everyone is behind this pleasure principle. So we also have the instinct, coming from the animal instinct, to increase our pleasure principle. Without that we can't live. But only the Buddha says is, you have to understand the map. Therefore, yatasa passato rupam, he whoever knows the object, the visual objects, even if he is seeing, sivato chapi vedana, he may be entertaining still. I am seeing a good thing, I am seeing a bad thing, but under the light of mindfulness, kiyati no pachiyati, he never accumulated. Instead, he tried to keep the disclaimer, this is what I see and my pleasure is not me, not mine, not myself. Never he going to accumulate, I am the person see, so you are unlucky, I am lucky, kind of arrogance. Never he develops. Evan so charati sati. He always try to keep his senses under control with the restrainment of mindfulness and the diligence. Evan apachinato dukkha. So he is cut off so much of avenues towards the suffering. And he see things as they are. Never in their exaggeration, never underestimation. Try to see things as they are without camouflage, without prolific thinking due to one's own perception. And Santike Nibbana Uchati, he is the one only approximating, closing to see the truth. So therefore, even such a person with the full mindfulness, even if he sees something desirable, undesirable, he is not only seeing the visual object, he sees his own desire. He sees his own the hatred, and if you can manage up to that level, that is a very clear indication you can navigate the ship, even in the troubled water. I think enough for the day, and I hope I will deal further little up to the tomorrow's talk, and with that remark I would like to stop the today's talk. Thank you very much for listening. If there are any remark or questions, or we can take little time. So if there is no such, we will be going to sum up the day's program. Either fully understood or either completely misunderstood. No more questions.
So, during the early stages of this meditation practice, is it possible that a person can feel, even while meditating, or outside meditation also, feelings like irritability and unpleasantness in the head and so on?
Yeah.
And if that is so, should he reduce the amount of time he spends on meditation every day?
No, you have to share it with the other meditator. They will say, once you become pregnant, you have your own symptoms. You can't eat like other days. You have to adopt into your pregnancy. So you have to listen to other people, those who are parturited, they will tell you. The unpregnant people can't tell you. So that is why in Sri Lanka, whenever the daughter become pregnant, send it to the grandma, send it to the Nandamma. Not the Nandamma, Amma. That is sending to the mother. Because mother knows the children, mother knows children's children, so they can give how to give the protection. So it is not a indication to step back. He said you have to have a companion that you have to tell. Then only they will say it is natural, it's a very good sign. The irritation, fault finding, dissatisfaction and the pedantic, it's a kind of a, when the calf is developing, horns are coming. When the horns are coming, it is little arrogant. To try to hit others and kind of thing, I'm going to get the punishment. The meditation also the same.
But if it is the meditation that is causing this, then not stepping back, I'm not talking about stepping back, but stepping down the tempo or the amount. Because if you meditate more, wouldn't this be at a more intense level and cause?
No, you will develop the immunity. You will understand it is natural symptoms. So you will be ready to cope up with. And for that you have to have the sharing with the others, those who have passed this stage, and they will say, so that is natural, so therefore don't get entangled with the people, be precautious, be cautious, be humble, just surrender, keep on practicing. After a while you will understand the proper equilibrium, the proper balance, how to maintain this, and therefore this is... But I can tell you one thing. If you can develop that in your lay life, you will be a very successful monk. This is a real challenge.
Develop what?
This equilibrium. You can develop this sensation and still not to let the other understand that you are irritated. Not to understand that you are fault-finding with others. Not to understand you are underestimating yourself. And that is the way you are controlling your senses. My simple advice is, don't let others know that you are meditating. Specifically in Sri Lanka, specifically for the young, teenagers, girls and the boys, when they are meditating, if they are going to know, it's a hell of a problem. You have to do it in a complete secret. Among your friends, no problem. But you don't let your close relatives know that you are meditated. Definitely they will send it to the psychiatrist. Sure. I have seen number of cases when the young, specifically beautiful young girls, they come to know this game. They come to know this camouflage. And when they are talking with the mother, they say, don't talk till the marriage comes. Once married, you do what you like. But as far as I am going to give you, you have to behave like me, what I am telling. Don't talk about the spirituality, just entertain the life. It's a kind of a society. Kind of a society. I don't know the situation in America. I mean, children have their own ways. But in Sri Lanka, specifically the traditional Buddhist country, pathetic. The society is so pathetic, it is completely on the pleasure-seeking game. Anyone thinking in their own way appear like a black sheep. But I am so efficient, I spent 8 years, not a single one at my home know that I am meditating.
Well, when you're sitting down, people would see that you're meditating too.
No, that is my secret. And only the difficulty is walking meditation. When you do walking meditation, you get caught up. But sitting, you can go to the room and lock your door and do it. But in the sitting meditation, you get exposed. So therefore, you must be such a, how to call that, crafty, skillful, not let the other people know your qualities. It's a great quality throughout the Buddha has prescribed in the meditation, not only the meditation monk's life. Just behave like a normal person. That must be your best, the trick. Don't show you any qualities, then only the problem happens. Don't advertise anything. That is what I think lacking for the moment, because we don't have the tradition, we don't have the live tradition. But if you are living with the group, they will let you know, this is the way it happened, you behave it like this way. Don't reduce the mindfulness. Mind you, we are living in the mad world. Sabbe putujjana ummattaka. Each and every worlding is deranged. They are, how do you call, the neurotic. So someone going to heal appear like a black sheep. They don't like it. Specifically the young girls in Sri Lanka today. No one is sympathizing them. They are very brainy. They understand the way the people are working. It is a mad world. The luxury and the consumerization and all the boasting and bogus life. But if they are going to talk about that, very dangerous, specifically from the parents. So therefore, there you must have your common sense. Nothing to share with dear and near ones. Sharing with your spiritual friends, no problem. I am so lucky, at that time I got a little group. And I was completely open to tell my all the mistakes, all what is happening. And they protected me in such a way, I feel so dedicated, I feel that so thankful for them, the service they have done. So it is the way we have to protect this asana. It is the way we have to protect this dispensation, not only your own meditation. Help others, people, those who are meditating, because they are undergoing a certain amount of metamorphosis. Complete changing of their life, and their evolution will be very fast rate going to catch it. After 40,000 years, the next few steps is going to happen in few days' time or few years' time. So much of chemical and physical changes in the body. So everyone be very protective and safeguarding, understanding others. And then, the most important thing is, once you come to understand, whenever the mindfulness and the meditation going to develop, the irritation is going to happen and all the kind of thing, and if you are sympathizing yourself, telling it is a good symptom. Anyone become irritated, you can sympathize outsiders. Because you have experience within yourself. You have experience how fault-finding I am. If it is so, why should you fault-find the other person? He himself is in hell. Why should we envy others? Why should we hate others? Because they creating their own suffering. And they are self-critical. So why should we go and ask them, unless otherwise come and invite someone to please come and help? Let them mind their own business. You mind your own business. And that is how your energies become very streamlined rather than become widening. So this is a, I would say, real challenge in the meditation, and this, I would say, the real sacrification, the real generosity. You are ready to you are so generous to give up your likings and dislikings. You are going to give up your personality, the frame. You never put yourself up there in the pedestal and start whitewashing. You understand it's a vanity. And not only that, the moment you go through this, you understand whoever may be in the society who has gone beyond, you can easily see from the long distance that particular person is unshaken. Not shaken by the advertisement, not shaken by the praise and gain and the money. They are concerned about their moral integrity. And these connections happen then onward. All the mature people, you can understand by their behavior, specifically at the difficulties. In the difficulty, how they behave, how much they are running emotionally, or they maintain their integrity. So these are the people will be a beacon light for you. Not all the other people coming and hugging you. They are short-tempered people. You find majority all the time, everywhere. But if you can find such a one person who has the backbone on the spirituality, I don't care whether he's a Christian or Muslim or any kind of thing, I will try my best to be with him. I don't care how mature he is in the worldly sense. But that is the way you have to be very selective. It's a hell of a wastage of our time in our life. Whenever the Buddha says that you see such a person, your whole problem is solved. You have to just to be under his shadow. In my best of my life, from 26 to 36, I had a small group. And just what I do is, I go twice a week. One day, 1 hour sitting, other day, 1 hour discussion. Something like this. Even that I can't understand because they were talking in English. My English was so poor at that time, but I feel like going and becoming oceanic with them. They are kind of a people. Very little group. Not religious. They never recognize it Buddhism or something like that. Of course, they are all Buddhist. That is the way it gave me the openness, the opportunity to rethink these values in a different perspectives. Not with the rational or traditional way of the stereotype way. Still I keep my stereotype way. That is separate issue. But here the window opening to see. So feelings are, that is why the Buddha says that understanding this feeling known as Prativeda. Prativeda means understanding. Knowledge is known as Veda. Vedana, Veda. It's a huge thing. But whenever you are in a pleasure-seeking game, you only see with one eye. You can't see the other side, so you can't see the depth. You see only the width. With two eyes connection only, you can see the depth, so you have to equally accept the suffering of the life. Don't vehemently go for the pleasure-seeking. That is how you get caught up in this luxury, caught up in this consumerization, caught up in this bogus life or this advertising world. Let the world to be advertising, but you have to have your own values. And don't make it plural also. Don't say we. No. Never. Individual has your own measurement. Your own. You can have equal-minded people, that is separate issue. But there are different value systems. So this is like a rhinoceros with the single horn. This is the most powerful animal. All the other animals have two horns. Rhinoceros is the single horn, dashed. Eko chare kagga visana kappo, that is what the Buddha says. You must behave like a rhinoceros in an isolated manner. Explore into your things. Don't think that you have a companion. Moment you are going to see, they are diluted. No sharpness can happen. But still you can live a full social life. Still you can live a full social life understanding your own limits. Otherwise wastage of energy, wastage of raw materials or wastage of your the merits.
What is the meaning of Bhavatanna, Vibhavatanna?
It's a good question. Whenever the Buddha is explaining the root cause for suffering, he says tanha. And whenever the tanha is given to this detail, it says kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. The kama tanha, if I am to borrow some words from the Sigmund Freud, it is sensuous. Oh, he told us sexual pleasure. Buddha's all sensuous pleasure. That means directly connected with ear, nose, tongue and all the kinds of things. That means that your gratification of sense pleasure. It need not much of an explanation. And whenever the bhavatanha are going to happen, it's a egoistic instinct. Not only my pleasure, my dear and near one's pleasure also. My family members' pleasure, my nation, my culture. So you are going to maximize not only your sense pleasure, you are going to get an idea about the team. Because as far as you are concerned, you know after your death everything is finished. But when you have a family or a society or a nation or kind of thing, you know at least the consistency is there, the continuity. The Bhavatanna is we are concerned about the continuity. The world is running then and there. But we have a concept of permanency, so we feel whatever the knowledge I have, there should have a continuity. Whatever the gain, the wealth I have, there should be continuity. So, but I am impermanent, so therefore why not have a wife and the children? I am sorry for I am talking that you all are lay people. But I am taking an example. So ultimately what happens is instead of your personal thing, you recognize you as a group or nation. So best example given by the Western person is the single individual bee is nothing. Unless he is a part and parcel of a hive. Hive is one single ego, a single soul. Individual bee can't live together, live oneself. So it has to be a part and parcel of the beehive. So even the individual going to die, hive is maintenance. Individual white ant, individual ant, they have no soul. Unless they become a part and parcel of the whole hive. Whole hive has one soul. Everyone is vehemently working. So we sometimes not only take in the sense pleasure, we feel the continuity. It says after 40s, your sense pleasure is becoming a secondary and you become engaged in a family or society or director in a company, whatever maybe you are going to. Then onward you have something to protect, to consistency. When that is going to happen, everyone tell you, you are real benevolent, you are real, how do you call it, Samaritan, you are not only concerned your thing and you are, so you will be boost up your ego. But whenever someone going to cross you, even at your death, you are going to kill him. Tell you that I am not fighting for me. I am fighting for my society. I am fighting for my country. So I have my right to kill. So Bhavatanna is the protection about understanding your group and your self-instinct. And whenever someone crossed, Vibhavatanna is to kill or to commit suicide. So the committing suicide and the attachment to your group is the same two sides of the same coin. So it is the pleasure principle is not only working with this sensuous gratification, it is really helping you to identify yourself as ego instinct, bhavatanha. So whenever that is going to challenge, you are up to anything. So that is how the vibhavatanha going to happen. So the Western world was very delayed to understand this. They try to interpret everything through the kama tanha, sensuous gratification. But later they understood that ego instinct and death instinct. Ego instinct and the death instinct the same. More you attach to your family, if someone going to attack your family, you are ready to fight. You are ready to sacrifice yourself. It is not for the sensuous gratification, ego instinct. So therefore the way it is working in the rattan, the connections, no way out. That is that ego is idea and the vibhavatanha is coming from the civilization. If you are living individual, you will be only confined with your sense gratification. But as far as we have the civilization, we have our family and the kind of thing, our ego has a special reinforcement. And whenever it is going to fight, threaten, it is harakiri or the jihad. You know that the suicide bombing, they become toys-like. You don't know how much you can get brainwashed due to this patriotism and kind of thing. So when this happens, are we doing due to our volitional activities, or these things are happening to us, so we can't just slave to them? And without understanding, we protect them. We think we have to be patriotic. We had to have the self-pride or the national pride kind of thing. Why not? But at the cost of what? Ultimately, you become a martyrs. You will be killing others, or you will be killing oneself. And at that time only the world comes and says, how much this kind of committing suicide going to happen? How much this kind of suicide bombing going to happen? How much this kind of people mercilessly kill other people? No one can understand. So that very difficult to understand Bhavatanna and Vibhavatanna. This is the way I understand it. And when I read it from the Schopenhauer and Sigmund Freud and the Buddha, all the three has mentioned about this libido, ego instinct, death instinct. The Buddha mentioned the Kamatanna, Bhavatanna, Vibhavatanna. There is no, specifically Vibhavatanna, religion is not talking about that, because religion is the one really promoting it. Whenever someone is moved by the religion, he is up to any killing. And that is why the holy wars came into being. And they say that I am not religiously moved. It says that in the Quran it says, if you are going to die in the conviction and getting someone into your belief, that means you are fighting against something that they are not believers, or you are fighting with them to take it to them. In that fight, if you are going to die, you can directly bury your body without washing. Directly it goes to the God. All the others has to wash and clean before the burial. But if you are going to kill a Muslim, you will be punished like you have killed the whole human nation. You see how this is motivated the people. So ultimately when they go to the jihad and kind of thing, you don't know how this energy comes. It's Vibhavatanna. But in the Buddhism it says, understand it, when someone is stimulated on that or energized on that, what to do? When the brainwash happen, what to do? Because each and everyone has Kamatanna, that is enough to get the hook. So then Bhavatanna, Vibhavatanna is naturally outgrowth. Natural outgrowth. So only by handling the Kamatanna won't do. You have to understand it has a very complicated ways, roots, grassroots level. So each and everyone of us in the same boat. How can we say we are not going to commit that kind of thing? As far as we recognize, I am a signalist Buddhist. Then definitely we will go up to any commitment. So that patriotism is very dangerous. And the Buddha has very clearly indicated, but even each and every Buddhist is already caught up. Already caught up, and if the person like me, when I am talking openly, will be cornered. Will not be happy to accept that this is the real meaning of the Bhavatanna. They would say something other. They are not happy to say that it is something related with this group feeling or patriotism or the religious feeling.
One small question. Even I've read Nitya Krishnamurti, who also was going about preaching practicing mindlessness, practicing choiceless awareness and so on. Do you think he was the right path and had enlightenment?
Definitely he is a good man, but he says, if someone going to say the Buddha has appeared, my first trip will be to see the Buddha, no one can prevent me. Krishnamurti in the talks he says, if I come to know the Buddha has appeared, my next endeavor will be immediately go and meet the Buddha. There is no one I can find that prevent from me from going to the Buddha. Because he is waiting the Buddha to appear. He is talking about this action without reaction. the choiceless awareness, but he never claims that it's a genius or kind of thing. He was so humble.
It is very strange that the man was talking about inner harmony and all these things. Finally, suffered from cancer, last stages before dying. Why do these people who have found a life of harmony within themselves get this kind of end?
So there should have an end. Even the Buddha has diarrhea. So why should he has a diarrhea? Why should he don't have a immunity to fight with the germ, the bacillus, bacteria? Someone has to die, everyone has to die. It is natural. So what is the way you expect such a person to die? to go out just like a rainbow disappearing?
Because cancer means a good deal of suffering for the last 1 or 2 months of his life.
Everyone is tsunami. Everyone at the death you are at tsunami. It is not the classical tsunami coming, that you are putting into the complete disintegration of your materiality. Senses are not working. You have to see the deathbed or the last minute of the people. It's such a completely uncontrolled. That is why there's 3 things are happening in the world for the moment, that quantum physics, the chaos theory, and the near-death experience. Near-death experience is giving so much of insight just by observation. You can understand whole this game as far as the consciousness is intact. Once it is gone, it's pathetic. You never expect that everything is scattered off. So not only for the Krishnamurti, anyone, we all are in the same boat. We have to expect any time understanding cancer. What to do? If someone is going to say that you and I have the cancer, but the very good thing is that Venerable Mahinda mentioned when he was in the Melbourne, in the discussion, he told, the day your family doctor going to say that you have a fast-growing cancer in the brain, you will never think about the natural food. You will never think about yoga. You will never think about meditation. The moment you come to know that you have only 2 months, then you are rushing to the temple and asking what is the closest way to be mindful. What is the most natural food? What is the way how to live? So then only you are going to live. Till the doctor is diagnosing you have the fast going, till that you are in the go-go show. Till that you are always entertained. Why not tell you that this car is available, this fashion is available, this trip is available, this picnic is available, why not? The day the doctor going to say firm, in the confirmed manner, you have a fast-growing cancer, then only you are going to live. Who knows that who is having, who is not having? Cancer cells are everywhere. Krishnamurti has its own rights to die. Whatever may be the method. No, nothing to worry about that. You see the present, the recent world, the old civilized world, how the Gandhi went, how the Kennedy went, how all the good people went, killed by their own people. Gandhi killed by the Hindu, the Kennedy killed by this thing, and the Perez killed by the Israeli, the local people, not the enemy. So it is pathetic. And the Socrates given the poison by their own people to drink. The world is so vicious that whenever someone is going towards the good, you can see the viciousness. So the cancer is a good way, it's a natural way of death when compared to this all. And in Sri Lanka they have found that in the Sri Lankan history, 46% of the kings have been killed by the child, the son. In India also, kings are always killed by the second in line, their own children, due to the power craziness. That is why Chanakya gave the treatment, and they found that killed by poisons. So therefore Chanakya asked the king, do you wish to have any the immunity on that situation? Then he says, you are the wise people, why not? Then he told, please let me have the permission. So today onward I am going to add little bit of poison for each and every one royal members. Ultimately, the poison level come up to a certain level, so their resistance comes. So they start giving poisons. So then they will not be killed by poison, because their immunity has gone up to the certain level of poison, they will not kill. So the world is that you have to understand, it's such a vicious world, so-called civilized world. Very dangerous. Be careful. Mind your own business. That's all you can say. It's a detrimental trends are there. The civilization is a undermine, it's a landmine. When you are walking, then when you do not know when it's going to burst, once burst, no mercy. Finished. So that's why the whole answer the Buddha given, without criticizing the system, without criticizing this thing, he says that as far as you are mindful, you are protected. Not by your private armies, not by the bank, or not by the insurers, nothing, by being prepared. So that is the most decent answer, and answering all the questions. Okay, so it is 9:24 the time is. So we are going to mark the end of the day. So we are on the 5th day, am I correct? So far so good. Today we had a little power failure, but remedies came very quickly. So anyway, that those who are taking pains, seen and unseen towards this organization, must be really appreciated. So all the meritorial deeds and the skillfulness we have gathered, we must be generously offered to them, and may they share all the merits with their due appreciation with sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Equally, may our own dear and dear one, may they know that we are accumulating this kind of merits and sharing with them, may their the mind attention come up to this, and they also may rejoice the merits, telling sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And at last, that may every knowledge and the endurance and all the qualities we develop may definitely be invested towards the final liberation, and whatever the difficulties and mishaps going to happen may be rectified and evaporated with the power of this mindfulness, and ultimately we will reach the final goal in the shortest cut. With that idea, we will be reciting the traditional stanzas according to the Sri Lankan tradition. Ettavata cagammehi sambatam punya sampadang sabbe deva numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavata cagammehi sambatam punya sampadang sabbe bhuta sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavata cagammehi sambatam punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditta cirang rakkantu sāsanam. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditta cirang rakkantu desanam. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditta cirang rakkantu mam parang. Idang vo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatiyo. Idang vo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatiyo. Idang vo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatiyo. Imina punya kammene mami bala samagamo. Satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammene mami bala samagamo. Satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammene mami bala samagamo. Satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.